Hello there newbie, I'm Actelon and I welcome you to the Roleplay 101. Today's subject, setting up your TRP, which is one of the main roleplay add-ons of RP servers of WoW. Now, to start this, you will have around the minimap somewhere hidden a total roleplay 3 button. Click that and this will pop up. I'm gonna increase it. I'm gonna keep it on this. I'm gonna increase it a little bit for purposes, of course. Now, in order to set up your own character, you will have to go into character. I'm gonna do this. This will pop up for you when you first open it up. So we will call this the RP 101. Now, this will very likely be your first thing you see. You will see your character's name, uh, the in-game classification, and of race and class. But that is about it, right? So in order to change that, we must go into edit mode. Now you see here many classic things. First thing foremost are titles. Not all characters have to have them, but some have them. Of course, your first name, which we will talk in a moment. Last name, of course, as well, including middle name. We usually put that into the last name. Then we have race. Usually, when you play a elf, you tend to change the name of the race to either Caldorite or Night Elves. Then Dorite for Void Elves, Queldorite for High Elves, Sindorite are Blood Elves. Then you have the Highborns, which are also something. Then you have the Diurnal Elves, which are also a different race, which are, I believe, Chandrelai. Not quite sure about that one. But let's assume you play a Caldorite. Caldorite people of the Elum. Of course, Druid can also be Druidess, because a female version exists. This can be a different class. You can be whatever you think you specialize as. Speciality is a pure character. It can be a bard, it can be a businessman, blah blah blah. There are also cases where people put in noble, but that's completely nonsense, because usually when you are noble you have a title that you put in the title section. Age is of course logical. Residence, it's not mandatory to put residence, age or anything like that, just to feel fancy. Apologies for the silence. Something was stuck in my throat. Piece of popcorn. Usually, with age, it also determines where you were born. It's rarely the case for humans because, no, not rarely. Also, it's for them. Let's say you are a Gilnean hunter. Let's work with that assumption. Then your birthplace would be Gilneas, because in order to be Gilnean you have to be born in Gilneas. Unlike when you are an elf, or you need to, in order to be an elf, have a mother or father. Elf, most likely both. But right now you cannot live in Gilneas because it's plagued, it's destroyed. The people of Gilneas then moved to Darnassus, which you all know is now a little charcoal. So where could Gilneas be? Gilneas can be Kultira, still Stormwind, any other cities, literally. The eye color, you can also do, let's say, brown. You put in brown, but if you save it, it will appear only as white, right? So you can do this and go into the color, decrease the color of orange, and you will get a form of brown. I have to figure out. There we go. There we go. Now if you save it, you will see that it's turned brown. The same goes for your class. You can regularly change its color to anything. Let's say you wanna go pink. It will also change the name of your character, right? It won't change the race, but when you then hover over it, it will show as pink name. What you can also change is the character icon. You can look up anything. For the example, Dractyr. You can go here and put in. Boop. Now your character will have the character icon of the Dractyr. Then we can go into furthermore into details, which is height. You can either simplify it with tall or stuff like that, or be specific, either by putting in a specific measurement, 183 centimeters, or use feet, because why fucking not? The same goes in body shape, can be slim, etc, etc. They also give you some hints here. Then you have additional information, right? House name. This is usually for noble role players or role players of noblemen, which utilize such things. Then you have a nickname. You can also change this icon for something else. And let's say poopy head, just for the sake of it. Poopy head. Now, if you save that, it will appear here. What I recommend for people that use in-game titles, such as these, I recommend putting a dot in here, because then it won't appear here. This one, Paragon of Obsidian Brood, but you don't see it here because not many people have these titles in actual game. Or I believe it works also with maybe a couple more. Nope. Well, yeah, the dot is probably the best because it's minimal. It's kind of cute because it makes a little bit of a thing, right? Let's go further on. Motto is also possible, not mandatory. If your character is not female, male, it doesn't matter. Even if as male, you can put he, him, female, she, her, right? You have actually quite a lot of power how to customize this. You can even put in tattoos, piercing, psychognomy. What the fuck is that? No idea what psychognomy is. Then you have the personality traits. You have this is to describe your character, behavior pattern, um, how well, social traits, personal traits, and you can also create your own traits. Such an example would be justice. I'm gonna put it right here. Justice, one of my characters, where I go on ahead and also put in autism and ADHD. right? Um, I also used additional information as sexuality, relationship dynamic, pronouns, of course. So that's that for now. So let's go to the name thing. I will see you in a moment. Now let's go over the creation of your name. What I recommend is taking your race and typing it into Google. So let's say we are still the Guinean hunter. So we are gonna go Guinean name generator. And there's a wonderful website, I believe it's a fantasy name generator. And it will also explain to you how these names are generated. The Borgen are a small community of cursed humans who, as a result of this curse, have a wolf form similar to a werewolf. The wolf curse origin dates back to the time of Night Elves druids who were devout followers of the ancient wolf Guldrin or Logos, as Thorin knew him. These druids eventually tried to spread their forms through the curse that still affects the Borgen. Borgen names don't seem to be different from regular humans' names. Some names, like Raymane, may seem to be chosen, but they are always a coincidence, purely a name they had before their curse, and that now fits their curse. The culture is based on Old English cultures, as well as some other European cultures like German. So picking a name to reflect this could work better than picking a name from a different culture. If you really want to roleplay your work into the fullest, consider taking one of the following last names. I don't advise that because seriously, it doesn't matter. And then you just choose your gender or preferred gender, right? There's no non-binary, so you will have to suck it up there a little bit. But let's say you want the male name. So what I do is usually I take the first name that I like. Let's say Philip, right? Then I go over to the World of Warcraft client, type it in, and then Google something that I like in the last name section. So let's say I'm gonna take Philip Townend, right? I'm gonna combine two names into one, basically. So we put that in here, and we then click save. We have now Philip the Townend. And now we can go into about. The about section might be a little bit more difficult, and I usually would say that you should wait with that, give it a little bit more thought. But let's say you have an idea what you want to type in, you want to create your background. You have three multiple background options. Roman is probably the best because it's ordinary. 4 is not bad either, but you have to keep in mind that the color of the letters doesn't change, sadly. So it's better to take black because usually it's white. Right, so let's say we take the 9 and then we take the template. Template 1 is that what we see now. Template 2 is frame based, where you can add as much as you want. And then you have template 3, which is probably the most easiest for newcomers, because it already tells you what should be added to the window and what not. The first window being physical description, describe your character. I usually avoid that because I tend to make my characters look like I want them to look, so I don't have to describe them. Personality traits, that's again your personality. I think it's better to leave this one out because you should portray it with your behavior, with your actions, with your every single move, because that's roleplay. Then you have, of course, history, which is the background of the character. Be it a villain, be it a good guy, be it a neutral guy, doesn't matter. I honestly prefer the template number 2 because I can add and and play around with it. But for the new players, I advise either template 3 or template 1 and just write down what you wanted to say about this character and keep it simple. Right. You can manipulate it always later with Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Now you're gonna save it, then you will see it as like this. Right. Then we have the last, probably the most important sections. Well, not the most important section is this one. But as a new player, I will advise you to do this. New layer. And second one is for VIP. This means work in progress. But that is most aware to the most English-speaking person, not to those who use a different language. So that is why I'm mentioning this here. Then you have. Now we can take a look at these things. In character frequency, this means how often you are in character, how much your story or your gameplay is based on the character. Let's say me, I usually am most of the time in character, right? You will rarely catch me out of character. Then you have mid-time, casual, full-time also see, not a RPG character. I never use this one, but it's still possible to be used. Or do not show, which is the basic, right? Then you have accept character injury. This is up to you if you accept character injuries, if you accept, if you need to have permission, blah blah blah. Death, same thing. Romance, same thing. Nothing here new. Then of course there is roleplay battle resolution. How you want to have your battles be resolved. Some people like it with World of Warcraft PvP. Some like TRP role battles. A role battle, emote battle. TRP role battle is mostly combined emote and role battle. And then use your character guild membership. That means if you are in a guild that's around content, then but still roleplay, it's really likely that you are OCC in there because content guilds usually don't do roleplay events, right? But if you are in a roleplay guild, then you are really likely an IC member, in character member. Meaning that you enter the guild as a character. In one way, it's really not that difficult to learn by just experimenting. If you have some lore knowledge, you will also know how to make these things super easily. Then of course you have at first glance. At first glance is something that really anybody reads, but it still makes fun to create these things. Right, I'm gonna go into my actual characters. TRP and show you how I set it up. For example, markings, which are the Caldora's saying of being adult on her face, and if the hood is removed, one could see the markings of the wings. Those are those who are familiar with the marking of the Caldori would know this is a sign of maturity as well as an affiliation with the druids of Talon in the wild of Aviana druids. There is a little bit more to it, but this is the general knowledge of the wings, and of course it would be visible at first sight. The second one is a necklace. I put it on in the barber shop as well, so that everyone can see that there is an amulet. There's always a way to read upon it. That's why I put it into the first glance. Then we can continue further on with the staff, which is the rose skull here, which I explained as Merlin. I usually use elfdict.com for other names of things. Then RP hooks. RP hooks are again practically useless, but it can help some other characters approach you and talk about a certain topic in a way, right? So that way, you know, for example, if your character was in Goliath, the characters could have met, they could have talked a couple of times. Unlikely that they were friends once, because again, you are new to the person unless you spoke with that person beforehand. And here I have the music bar, which is the bar that Mirai owns and founded. What its meaning is a little bit more about the bar, right? Because she represents it, and it's part of her RP hook. Now then, that's I believe everything that I can teach you about setting up a TRP. Right now, we will tackle different subjects again. I think I'm gonna make another one next week. But for now, feel free to experiment and enjoy your roleplay. Achterman out. I will see you in the world of Warcraft.